Growing up fatherless, do you feel every male needs their father?
I gotta give it to you, man. Definitely.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it just causes complications, you know what I'm saying? Like, me personally, my dad, you know, he sold drugs, you know, like, prior to me being born. So he actually got locked up before I was born. So he wasn't in my life till I was about, like, 6 or 7, almost, just about. And then when he did come, it's like, I didn't really have a connection with him. You know, we was always kind of at each other's neck because, you know, in my eyes, it's like, oh, this guy popped up, you know. Mm-hmm. So it was just a weird void between us, and I didn't really understand it. And me, you know, I was kind of a mama's boy because that's all I had. I had my mom, my brother, and my sister, but no father. So I didn't really think too much of it, you know, at first. But, you know, as time went on, you know, scars of the past kind of come back to you. So, yeah, people definitely need their fathers.
How are things now between you and your father?
We pretty cool. We honestly like closer than ever. You know, I can go to him, talk to him about pretty much anything. So, yeah, but it took a lot of time for sure. A lot of time, a lot of effort. So, but yeah, all kids, they need both parents. So honestly. You gotta have best of both worlds.
I do agree with that, like, especially a father, because growing up in a household where I had both of my parents, and then at one point I just had my mother, and even though my father had a huge portion, you know, he was there for a huge portion of my life, by the time I was at least 15 or 16, there was a portion where he went away. And
for how long?
Man, it was a few years, maybe, like, I'm not even sure. Like, after a while, I sort of lost track. It was just like getting phone calls from him being incarcerated, things like that. So it was, time just went past, and it was like the years just started to blend together. Then after a while, it was just like, he's not really there, you know, in spirit or in voice, he calls, he's there. But, you know, him being there before, it was like he showed me a lot of things that helped me become the man I am today.
So what specific thing do you think a father can do that a mother can't?
Man, just it's lessons as a male that another male role model can teach you, can pass on, whether it's just simple as tying a tie. You know, I'm not saying a woman doesn't know how or she's not capable, but it's something that a father does to sort of think of like a pride, you know, and think of like the movie The Lion King, things like that. And then you see how things are passed down generation after generation and knowledge after knowledge through the males. And it's like how we speak to each other, you know, how there are lessons to be learned. Like, all right, son, we're going to do this. My father taught me how to fly a kite. He taught me how to make whistles out of acorns. He taught me all these things about nature and about the world. Not saying that my mother wasn't able to, but my father did that, you know. He had that place in my life to be like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to tie a tie. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Teach me how to drive. Certain things like that. Mom was teaching me other things. Father was teaching me other things. So he taught me more so how to groom myself into the adult man that I am today.
I mean, I didn't have really any male figure in my household. I was raised by my aunts and grandmother and my mom. So in terms of like having a father, I don't know how that feels like. Still to this day, I don't know how that feels like. Most of the stuff I learned myself, and it was very difficult.
What do you think is worse though, having, and I know this isn't your story, but having a bad mother or no father at all?
No.
Or even having a bad father or no father at all? Like,
no
which
father.
one?
As my experience goes,
would you prefer? Would you prefer to have, even if your father was there and he was bad, would you prefer that he was there or? No.
I'd rather him not be there at all from my experiences because it turned out fine for me. So again, I don't know. So I only have one viewpoint of a story from somebody that don't have a lot of male role models like that. I really look up to black females. I love them because they raised me. I know what their pain feel like. And I honestly don't feel a way if a father's there or not. I wish he was there because things would be so much easier. So much of the things I've gone through, I could ask him, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? But at the same time, in the end of the day, you're a man, so you're gonna learn one way or another. So again, I only have one viewpoint, and yeah.
I'm actually with you on that because I actually grew up without my father. And my situation is like very like, when I explain it to people, it's very like strange, weird. It's even weird and strange to me. I don't even at times know how to explain it. So my father, from what I was told, that he never wanted kids, that I was a mistake. So he doesn't acknowledge me today. To him, I don't exist. When I found him, I went out of my way. I went above and beyond to, you know, just try to give him that chance to really explain things from his perspective. And he lied to me about everything. He totally turned me away. And it was a painful thing, you know. And it's been something that I've struggled with for years, honestly. Because you start questioning, like, well, did I do something? Am I not good enough? Because he said to me, he was like, yeah, you were like the mistake child. I didn't want you. You know, like, I wish you didn't exist. He said these things to my face. So I think for me, it just broke me down mentally. And not only that, like years later, you know, like he was running around just saying like some pretty awful things about me, telling people that, you know, he was going to have me done, he was going to light me up. Pretty much he was, you know, threatening my life. And I think the painful thing about that is that, you know, I did take to social media to express how I felt, because at that time, that's how that was my way of expressing myself. Right. And his family, which happens to be my family, they all turned on me in favor of him. They sided with him. Because they said, that's my uncle, that's my brother, that's my friend, cousin, whatever. You don't have a right to post how you feel about him on social media. So to this day, this actually happened at the very, very beginning of this year. So right now, we don't even have a relationship. So because of that, because I expressed how I felt, because of what he was running around saying about me, saying what he was going to do to me. Now, mind you, this is the person who gave me life. And he's running around telling people, oh, I'm going to have this person, you know, like lit up or shot up or whatever the case is. And I'm like, what do you say to something like that? You know what I'm saying? How do you react to something like that? And when I express that to certain people in my family on his side, they always try to come to his defense and say, well, he doesn't know himself. So how can he know you? And I'm like, but that's an excuse. Right. And it's very deep. It's very deep and it's very painful. But yeah, for me, you know, I got to a point where that inner voice just came out and I was like, I'm gonna speak and I'm gonna explain how I feel. And when I did, I lost a lot of people. But what I appreciate about the situation is when those people showed me who they were, I was like, thank you, God, for removing them out of my life, because it shows me that they're not the people that should be in my life, that I want to be associated with. And I'm just grateful that, you know, that they're gone. And so that's what it is.
Right. It brought you clarity.
Yeah.
It brought me clarity, and I really appreciate that.
It sounds like with your father having that absence as well, you learned lessons along the way anyway. You learned a lot of lessons.
Okay,
and
I had to.
Like you said, sometimes if you look at it and say, all right, I'd rather have either no father than a bad father, or, you know, whatever the situation is, you tried to mend that gap.
I tried extremely hard, and it hurts because it's like, people don't really understand, and you have people, especially in his family, you have people that will say to you, well, you know, like, you got to get over it. You know, you can't like weep over it. And no, I tell people, yeah, you do got to move on in life. I absolutely agree with that. But at the end of the day, like, I'm never going to get over it. Right. I'm just going to learn how to cope with it at some point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it began to make things like very toxic to people around me. Like I said, like the people who I thought was cool, they ain't cool, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, unfortunately, you know, for me, or maybe I should say fortunately, they sided with him. And
but that's okay though, because now you at least see like where your energy, where your life is taking you. Sometimes you gotta detach yourself from toxic people. And it's not even sometimes, you recognize it, you see it, and you're like, damn, I tried, I did what I could, but it's nothing that you could do for somebody else.
I have a saying in life
to be in your life.
And it's like, when people reveal themselves, believe them. And I promise you, when that situation took place, I was like, I can't question it. I can't beg for a relationship with these people. I just got to let it go, because it is what it is. Sometimes people come into your life for a blessing or a lesson. It was a lesson that I had to learn and I had to go through.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, I agree.